There's a certain kind of mystery that never fades with time. Cases that reject logic. Disappearances that defy explanation. Stories that leave investigators awake at night, replaying the same clues over and over, looking for something they missed. Because when a life ends, there is closure. But when a life disappears, only questions remain. In the United States alone, over 600,000 people go missing every single year. Most are found. Some run away. Some return. But a rare few simply vanish without a trace, leaving behind grieving families, shattered communities, and detectives who refuse to give up even decades later. Tonight, we examine 3 of the most haunting unsolved disappearances in modern history. A 9-year-old girl who walked into a storm and vanished. A college student who drove into the mountains and was never seen again. And a medical student who entered a crowded bar and somehow never walked out. 3 cases. 3 vanished lives. 3 mysteries that continue to torment those searching for the truth. This is Unsolved Mysteries that still haunt investigators. Before the disappearance, before the storm, before the headlines, there was simply Asha, a quiet, shy, curious little girl growing up in a working-class neighborhood in Shelby, North Carolina. Born in 1990, Asha was raised by 2 loving, hardworking parents, Harold and Asha Degree, who were deeply protective of their children and determined to raise them with structure, faith, and discipline. Unlike other cases, the Degree household was not chaotic. It was not unstable. There were no reports of abuse, violence, or neglect. In fact, by all accounts, Asha's childhood was normal, stable, safe. The Degrees kept a tight routine. Dinner together, no staying out late, no strangers, no trouble. They were strict but caring. Asha played basketball, went to church every Sunday, did her homework every night, and shared a bedroom with her older brother, O'Brien. Everyone described her the same way. Respectful, quiet, well-behaved, obedient. A child who followed rules. A child who didn't wander. A child who was afraid of the dark. And yet, this is where the mystery deepens. Because for reasons we still do not understand, on a cold and stormy night in February 2000, little Asha made a decision that shocks investigators to this day. She left the safety of her warm bed, gathered her school backpack, and walked out the front door, not long after midnight. What pushes a 9-year-old to leave her family home, in the darkness, through heavy rain and roaring wind, without a coat, without a flashlight, without telling a soul? That question has tormented investigators for nearly 25 years. But to understand the mystery, we must first understand the days leading up to it. In the week before Asha disappeared, there were subtle changes. She seemed quieter at basketball practice. She fouled out of a game and cried uncontrollably afterward, something unusual for her. And there was a strange moment at school. Asha grew upset in class, without clear explanation, and refused to talk about it. When her mother asked what was wrong, Asha simply said, "Nothing." But the silence lingered. Was something bothering her? Was she afraid of something? Did she feel guilty, threatened, confused? Or was she planning something? Her parents didn't know. Her teachers didn't know. No one knew. What we do know is this. Asha Degree was a cautious child, timid around strangers, easily frightened, afraid of dogs, thunderstorms, and being alone. She didn't wander outdoors by herself. She didn't rebel. She didn't sneak out. Not once. Until the night she disappeared. And that contradiction, the gulf between who she was and what she did, remains one of the most chilling elements of this case. Because detectives believe someone or something compelled her to leave. Some unseen force, some private fear, some silent motivation. A promise, a threat, a secret plan. No one can say for sure. But whatever happened, it started before she walked into the storm. And there is something profoundly tragic in that realization. A 9-year-old girl, carrying fears she never voiced, moving toward a fate she could not understand. February 13th, 2000. It was a Sunday night like any other in the Degree home. The rain tapped against the windows. Cold winds shook the trees. The temperature dropped steadily through the evening. Inside, Asha and her brother finished their homework, ate dinner, and settled into their small shared bedroom. No arguments, no sudden panic, no strange calls, no unexpected visitors. Everything was normal. At 8:30 p.m., Asha and O'Brien went to bed. Their mother checked on them twice. Both were sound asleep. At 9 p.m., a power outage swept through the neighborhood. The storm intensified. Lightning flashed. The house fell into darkness for several hours. Still, nothing seemed out of place. At 12:30 a.m., the Degrees' power returned. Their father, Harold, came home from work shortly after. He checked the children again. Both were sleeping. Nothing seemed wrong. But sometime between 12:30 a.m. and 2:30 a.m., something changed. Something we still cannot explain. Because shortly after, Asha woke up. She quietly stepped out of bed, collected her book bag, changed clothes, put on her sneakers, and slipped out of the house without waking anyone. She didn't turn on lights. She didn't open curtains. She didn't slam doors. She moved like she was prepared, like she planned it. At 2:30 a.m., O'Brien stirred. He saw Asha's silhouette sitting on her bed. Nothing unusual. He went back to sleep. Moments later, she was gone. Just a shadow, vanishing into the rain. Outside, the storm raged. Still pitch dark. Still freezing. And this is where the horror begins. 2:45 a.m. Highway 18. The first sighting. A truck driver spots a small girl walking alone along Highway 18 in heavy rain, carrying a book bag. He thought it was strange, but kept driving. Minutes later, a second driver sees the same girl. He pulls over, concerned. But when he turns around, she runs off the road into a patch of darkness near the woods. That was the last confirmed sighting of Asha Degree alive. Think about that. A 9-year-old child, confused, cold, terrified, running into the darkness, away from help. Within hours, she vanished completely. No footprints, no tire tracks, no signs of a struggle. Just a trail that abruptly ends, as if swallowed by the night itself. 6:30 a.m. Discovery. When her mother enters the bedroom to wake her for school, Asha's bed is empty. Her backpack is gone. Her clothes are gone. Her family panics. Police are called. Immediately. Search dogs are deployed. Neighbors join in. Helicopters sweep the area. Every hour that passes becomes more frightening. Detectives try to explain the impossible. Why did she leave? Where was she going? Was she alone? Did someone lure her? Did she trust someone? And why did she run from the man who tried to help? Investigators say this was not random. She was not sleepwalking. This was intentional. But intentional toward what? Toward who? Toward where? Those are the questions investigators still cannot answer, even 25 years later. The search for Asha Degree began with urgency, but very quickly, investigators realized the storm had already stolen crucial evidence. From the first hours, the situation was catastrophic. The torrential rain, the soaked earth, the muddied roadside, the washed-out soil, all traces were fading, and fading fast. The witnesses. Police interviewed the two motorists who saw Asha walking along Highway 18. Both described a small girl, alone, wearing a backpack, moving determinedly. Not crying, not stumbling. One driver said she seemed like she knew where she was going. But the most haunting part is what happened just after. When the second driver pulled over to help, Asha panicked and ran. Why? Why run from safety? Why run from a stranger trying to help? Unless she feared something worse. Investigators still debate that. Moment. Some say it shows fear. Others say it shows confusion. Others wonder if she believed she was in trouble. But one thing is certain. This was not random wandering. She was headed somewhere, even if no one knows where. The immediate search. Within hours, the quiet town erupted into chaos. Volunteers searching fields. Detectives questioning neighbors. Helicopters circling overhead. Dogs tracking through mud and brush. Every minute mattered. But conditions were brutal. The rain had destroyed every clue. No footprints, no directional trail, no signs of where she left the roadway. And worst of all, the dogs lost her scent quickly. Sheriff Dan Crawford later admitted, if she had gone missing in clear weather, we believe the outcome may have been very different. The storm erased the truth, like someone wiping a board clean. The missing clues. Investigators combed every ditch, woods area, side road, field, farm, pond, and drainage path, hoping something, anything, would surface. But nothing did. Not that first day. Not the second. Not the third. The first major search effort lasted over a week. Police found no clothing, no scraps, no footprints, no dropped items, no electronics, nothing. It was as if the universe swallowed her. A child doesn't vanish like that. Not alone. Not without help or without intervention. The silence was terrifying. The search narrows. Eventually, authorities shifted their focus. They began to wonder. Did someone pick her up? Was there a vehicle? Did she get into a stranger's car? Or, more chillingly, did she get into a car she recognized? Because that could explain why she left willingly, why she had her backpack, why she walked so confidently, why she ran from a man offering help. Fear of one person, trust in another. The first week turned into months. Months turned into years. And still, nothing. The Degree family waited for answers. Investigators waited for leads. A community waited for closure. And silence was all they got. That silence lasted until one astonishing discovery, which would reshape the entire investigation. The moment detectives realized this wasn't the story they thought it was. For over a year, nothing surfaced. Asha's parents prayed every night. Detectives chased dead-end leads. Volunteers kept searching fields and woods. Hope faded, slowly, like a candle burning down to its wick. Then, everything changed. 18 months later, a discovery in the woods. August 2001. Nearly a year and a half after her disappearance, A construction crew working along Highway 18, about 26 miles north of Asha's home, made a chilling discovery in a wooded area. A backpack, buried underground, wrapped carefully in plastic, sealed tight, hidden intentionally. It was not weather exposed, not torn apart by animals, not scattered. It was preserved, as if someone put it there, deliberately. Police were called immediately. The bag was dug out. Inside was Asha's name. It was her backpack. There is a silence. Every investigator describes when recalling that moment, because what they found next made everything darker. The contents inside. Inside the bag, there were items that belonged to Asha. But investigators also discovered something unexpected. Items that were not her family's. A book, some clothing, a pencil case. Objects that did not belong to the Degree home. Objects no one could trace back to Asha. Objects that are unexplained to this day. Why were they mixed with her things? Who put them there? Where did they come from? And the most disturbing detail, experts later determined the bag had been buried shortly after she disappeared. Not recently, not much later, within days, maybe hours. What this means. This was not accidental. This was not a runaway hiding supplies. Someone hid that backpack. Someone buried it. Deep. Someone preserved it. Someone wanted it not to be found. Detectives concluded. Asha was not alone that night. Someone intervened. Someone transported her. Someone handled the bag. Someone moved her more than 26 miles away. Theories. This single discovery forced investigators. Was abducted by someone she trusted, or was groomed quietly by someone close enough to influence her, or was lured out intentionally by persuasion or promises or threats, or was intercepted after leaving the house. This was not random chance. This was not spontaneous wandering. This was calculated. Someone took that backpack. Someone buried it. And Asha Degree vanished forever. And with that chilling discovery, the case shifted again toward theories, darker, more unsettling, more tragic than anyone wanted to believe, toward possibilities that investigators still talk about in quiet tones. Because what happened next is the part that keeps them awake at night. 2 decades later, there is still no definitive answer about what happened to Asha Degree. But there are theories. Some grounded, some chilling, some unthinkable. The truth, investigators believe, lies somewhere within these possibilities. Theory 1. The runaway explanation. This is the simplest theory, the most innocent one, the one many want to believe. That Asha left home intentionally, that she planned an escape, packed her belongings, walked into the night, hoping to reach somewhere safe. But very quickly, detectives realized this theory doesn't stand. Asha had no history of running away, no abuse at home, no disciplinary threats, no desire to leave, and most importantly, 9-year-olds do not plan escapes alone. Not in a storm, not in freezing rain, not at 2 a.m. She couldn't reach the highway distance. Alone. She couldn't survive the terrain. She couldn't bury a backpack by herself. Investigators agree. She may have walked alone at first, but she did not stay alone. Theory 2. The grooming theory. This is the theory that disturbs investigators the most. The idea that someone may have been cultivating trust with her quietly, carefully, secretly. Someone who talked to her, in person, or possibly by phone, or through school, or somewhere familiar. Someone who made promises, adventure, gifts, surprises, possibly love. Someone who convinced her, "I'll meet you outside." Not frantic, deliberate, not panicked. She left quietly, not impulsively. Someone may have been guiding her. Theory 3, the familiar stranger. This theory suggests Asha was not groomed, but was intercepted, kidnapped shortly after leaving home. Maybe someone random passed by. Maybe someone watched the neighborhood. Maybe someone saw an opportunity. But this theory conflicts with witness reports. Asha did not appear kidnapped. She was walking steadily, purposefully, alone at first, and when someone stopped to help, she fled, which aligns more with prey, running from a predator she already feared, not from a stranger she didn't recognize. Theory 4, someone she trusted. This is the most painful possibility, that she left intentionally, because she trusted someone familiar, someone she knew, but whose intentions were sinister. This could explain why she packed belongings, why she walked confidently, why she didn't cry, why she didn't hesitate, and why her backpack ended up buried. This theory suggests a betrayal, one so deep, so intimate, that it breaks the heart of anyone who hears it. Investigators refuse to rule it out. Theory 5, the worst-case scenario, the darkest possibility, the one detectives hate discussing: human trafficking, child exploitation, abduction by a predatory ring. Evidence is thin, proof is uncertain, but the method fits: target, contact, trust, isolation, extraction, disappear, no trace, ever. Some children vanish into networks so deep, even decades cannot uncover them. This theory terrifies investigators, because if it's true, Asha may never be found. And then, the uncomfortable question: did someone from her daily life know more? Someone from school, church, sports, neighborhood, someone unnoticed, someone invisible, someone hiding in plain sight. That question continues to haunt the case. In the end, these theories torment investigators. None can be proven. None can be dismissed. All are possible. All are horrifying. And every theory ends with the same haunting question: what do you think happened? Now, we transition into the second major case, Maura Murray. "4 years after Asha disappeared, another mystery began. But this one was different. Older, more complex, more layered. February 2004, 22-year-old Maura Murray was a nursing student at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. Bright, disciplined, independent, driven. From the outside, her life looked stable. A boyfriend, a strong academic path, a supportive family, a future planned. But privately, Maura was crumbling, under pressures no one fully understood. A life balancing on a thin wire. To understand Maura's disappearance, you must understand her life in the months before it. There were warning signs, subtle ones, moments that hinted at emotional strain, moments people close to her still replay in their minds, wondering if they missed something. She was juggling academic pressure, financial stress, long-distance love, family grief, secret anxieties, and beneath that, a growing fear she didn't talk about openly. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of disappointing the people she loved. People often forget this. Maura was young, alone in a demanding world, Responsibility was crushing her. Slowly, silently, the night her wall cracked, 3 nights before her disappearance, Maura was working a late desk shift on campus, where she checked student IDs. Near midnight, she received a phone call. No one knows exactly what was said, but immediately after, Maura broke down, crying uncontrollably, shaking, unable to speak. A supervisor walked in. Maura could barely breathe. When asked what happened, Maura said softly, "My sister." But her sister later denied that. No one knows what that phone call was. But it shattered something in her, and investigators believe that moment matters. The crash before the crash. Days before she drove into the mountains, Maura was in a minor car accident. She caused it. Police documented it. Her family says she seemed embarrassed, anxious, ashamed, a hidden burden growing heavier. This matters because investigators suspect Maura was unraveling internally, quietly, and no one knew how bad it was. The secret preparations. Then, February 9th, Maura emailed her professors. "There has been a death in my family. I'll be gone for a week." There hadn't been. It was a lie. She then printed MapQuest directions to the White Mountains in New Hampshire. She packed clothes, toiletries, her textbooks, and a large quantity of alcohol. She withdrew cash from an ATM. She checked her voicemail. She drove away from campus and never came back. At that moment, no one knew. Her final journey had begun. And no one knew. That decision would create one of the most haunting mysteries in American history. February 9th, 2004. The day began quietly. No alarms, no confrontation, no obvious crisis. Maura left campus sometime in the afternoon. No one knows her exact departure time, but we know her direction. North, toward the White Mountains, toward isolation, toward silence. The first stop, liquor store. Maura pulled into a local liquor store and purchased an unusually large supply of alcohol. Vodka, Kahlua, wine coolers, box wine. The clerk remembered her. A young woman alone, calm, normal, polite. She carried everything out to her car with routine efficiency. No panic, no distress. But emotionally, psychologically, she was already far beyond campus. And then her phone went silent. There were no calls to friends, no messages to explain her trip. Just the open road ahead. The weather worsened. The cold tightened. The sun drifted low on the horizon. Night approached. 7:27 p.m., the crash. On Route 112 near Haverhill, New Hampshire. Maura's car slid off the road and crashed into a snowbank. The impact was firm, but not severe. Her airbags deployed. Her windshield cracked. But Maura survived. She was conscious, mobile, awake. A local resident heard the crash, looked out the window, and saw the car. Minutes later, another neighbor stopped to help. He asked if she needed assistance. Maura refused. She insisted, "No. I already called AAA." But AAA later confirmed no call ever came in, meaning she lied. Why? Was she embarrassed? Confused? Hiding something? Or protecting someone? 7:43 p.m., the vanishing. The neighbor, concerned, went home to call authorities. Police were dispatched immediately. It took them approximately 7 minutes to arrive. When they did, Maura was gone. Not walking, not limping, not collapsed nearby. Gone, as if she evaporated into the winter darkness. No footprints indicating direction. No signs of struggle. No trails of blood. The scent dogs found a trace, but it stopped only 100 yards from the vehicle, right at the road. Then, nothing. As if she got into a car, voluntarily or not. The items left behind. Inside her crashed Saturn, police found her textbooks, her clothes, her maps, the alcohol she'd purchased, some missing, some unopened, her cell phone charger, her makeup, her personal items. Her life was still inside that vehicle. But Maura was not. The only thing missing was her. Law enforcement expected a body in the woods, a trail, a clue, or a farewell of some kind. But the night revealed nothing. And each passing hour made the situation worse. Because the temperature plummeted, hypothermia became inevitable. Unless she made it into another vehicle, unless someone picked her up, unless someone was waiting, unless someone planned this, unless she planned this. For 20 years, no one has been able to answer the simplest question: where did she go? In the hours after Maura vanished, police expected this to be a straightforward missing person case. A car crash, a confused young woman, a cold night. They assumed she wandered into the woods, and that they would find her quickly. But the hours passed. Then the night. Then the first dawn. And nothing emerged. No Maura. No footprints. No tracks. No clothing. No dropped items. Nothing. The first 36 hours. Chaos and missed chances. In the crucial early window, the investigation suffered setbacks. Communication errors. Misinterpretations. Bad assumptions. Police did not immediately suspect foul play. They believed she fled the scene to avoid legal trouble. They believed she might return home. They believed she would reappear within 48 hours. Those assumptions cost time. Time that could have uncovered clues. Time that cannot be reversed. The canine search. Tracking dogs were finally brought to the scene. They followed a scent for approximately 100 yards. Then it stopped. Abruptly. No continuation. No drift. Nothing. Experts say that usually means someone entered a vehicle, or someone was carried. Either scenario was chilling, because Maura did not have a car anymore. The search radius. Police scoured the surrounding area: woods, ravines, rivers, cabins, snowbanks, farmland. Helicopters scanned from above. Thermal cameras attempted to detect body heat. Ground searches spread out in expanding circles. Divers checked the river. Cadaver dogs searched the forest. Volunteers walked shoulder to shoulder through brush and snow. They found no clothing, no phone, no tracks, no biological evidence, no body. After spring, snow melted. With it, so did evidence. Crucial timelines blurred, which is why investigators began facing a horrifying possibility. Someone took her. With it, so did evidence. Memories faded. Leads evaporated. Every investigator today agrees. The first 48 hours were critical, and they are gone forever. The search began too late. The focus was too narrow. The urgency too low. And now, the doubts have multiplied. The collapse of a logical answer. This case breaks the rules. If she walked away, she should have been found. If she succumbed to the elements, her body should have surfaced. If she was close by, evidence should have remained. But it didn't, which leaves the most haunting outcome. Someone else intervened. Someone erased the trail. Someone changed her fate. And investigators still don't know who, or why, or how. Every angle collapses into confusion. Every answer feels incomplete. Every theory creates new questions. And every passing year, the mystery only deepens. For nearly 20 years, investigators, family members, journalists, and internet sleuths have debated the same haunting question. What happened to Maura Murray? There are theories. Many theories. Some hopeful, some heartbreaking, some horrifying. Let's explore them carefully, one by one. Theory 1. Voluntary disappearance. Some believe Maura wanted to disappear, to escape. Academic pressure, financial strain, family expectations, a possible failing relationship. They point to her sudden departure, the mysterious email, the lie about a family death, the alcohol purchase, the printed maps, the secrecy. They believe she wanted a reset, a clean slate, a new beginning somewhere else. Maybe she wanted to run from her life, not toward danger. But this theory fails under scrutiny, because she brought no winter gear, no ID, no wallet, no extra cash, no plan, no destination, no communication, and no known contacts in the area. Also, people who run from their lives eventually contact someone, years later, decades later, but Maura never did, not once. Theory 2. Accidental hypothermia. This theory claims Maura, dazed after the crash, wandered into the woods and succumbed to freezing temperatures. Simple, tragic, grounded. But the searches were extensive, intensive, hundreds of volunteers, helicopters, dogs, experts. No trace was found, no clothing, no bones, no remains. In 20 years, bodies don't hide forever. Not in New Hampshire, not that close to a road. This theory, though possible, feels incomplete. Theory 3. Suicide. Some have suggested the pressures in her life may have driven Maura to end things. But this theory is widely rejected by those who knew her. Maura was planning her future. Maura was communicating with family. Maura was packing belongings. Most importantly, suicide rarely leaves total silence. And silence is all this case has. No note, no sign, no location. And once again, no body. Theory 4. The hit and run cover-up. This is a darker possibility. Small town, few witnesses, late at night, snow falling. Perhaps someone hit her on the roadside and panicked. Perhaps her body was moved, hidden, disposed of. This theory explains the scent trail ending at the road and the lack of evidence. But it also requires silence, coordination, luck, and absolute success at hiding her for 20 years. That's rare. Possible, yes, but rare. Theory 5. Abduction. This is the theory investigators circle back to repeatedly, that Maura accepted a ride, voluntarily, or was forced into one. Perhaps someone noticed her vulnerability, the weather, the crash, the isolation. Perhaps someone stopped, offered help, or fought. Either way, a dog's losing scent at the road strongly suggests vehicle involvement. Abduction explains the lack of trace, the lack of remains, the complete absence of evidence, and the sudden disappearance. Abduction is the theory investigators fear most. Because if it's true, Maura didn't just disappear. She was taken. And so, we reach the inevitable question. What do you think happened? Columbus, Ohio, April 1st, 2006. This is the night that breaks logic. The disappearance that detectives call impossible. Because unlike most missing person cases, this one has video, surveillance, security cameras, digital records, proof of arrival, proof of entry, and yet, no proof of exit, not once, not ever. The man behind the mystery. Brian Shaffer was a 27-year-old medical student, intelligent, ambitious, warm-hearted, loved by friends and professors alike. He had a serious girlfriend, Alexis. He had plans to propose during an upcoming vacation. His future was bright. But privately, Brian was grieving. His mother had died just weeks earlier after a long battle with cancer. Friends later said he was devastated, but he didn't show it outwardly. He smiled. He kept studying. He kept going. Some wondered if the pain was deeper than anyone realized. Still, no one suspected what would come next. The last night seen alive. On the evening of March 31st, Brian and a friend, Clint, went out drinking. Nothing unusual. Bars, music, laughter, friends drifting in and out. Eventually, after 1 a.m., they made their way to the Ugly Tuna Saloon, a bar on the second floor of a building near Ohio State University. Brian was seen walking inside on camera, smiling, relaxed, normal. He talked with two women near the escalator. Security footage shows his body language calm, friendly, comfortable. Then the camera pans away. Seconds later, Brian is gone. And that is the last time he was ever seen. No exit. At closing time, the crowd left the bar. Police reviewed the footage, frame by frame, hour by hour. Every single person exiting the bar that night was captured. Except Brian. He never appears leaving. Not through the front, not through the side, not through any emergency exit. According to the evidence, he never walked out, but he did. He must have. And yet, no camera ever caught him, not once. To this day, investigators stare at that footage, bewildered. There is no explanation, no precedent, no logic. Brian Shaffer entered a bar and vanished from reality. When Brian Shaffer vanished, the Columbus Police Department assumed it would be a fast resolution. A medical student in a crowded bar? With cameras everywhere? Someone must have seen something. Someone must have heard something. Someone must have known something. But the deeper investigators looked, the less they understood. The security footage nightmare. Detectives spent weeks reviewing surveillance footage. Not once, not twice, dozens of times. Frame by frame, second by second. Every exit angle, every door, every face, every movement. Everyone who entered the bar that night was accounted for. Everyone who left the bar was accounted for, except Brian. It was as if the building swallowed him. The search. When Brian didn't show up for class, and didn't call his girlfriend, and didn't return home, the panic spread. Police began expanding the search. Miles of neighborhoods, sewer drains, rivers, vacant lots, construction sites, bridges. Cadaver dogs were brought in. Nothing emerged. Not even a scrap of clothing. Not even a shoe. Nothing. The friends questioned. Everyone who was with Brian that night was interviewed repeatedly. Their stories remained mostly consistent. But investigators noticed something strange. One friend refused to take a lie detector test. Once. Then twice. Then again. Still refuses to this day. Police don't call him a suspect. But detectives have admitted privately, he knows more than he's saying. What he knows, they don't know. The cell phone call. Then, something horrifying happened. 2 years after Brian vanished, in 2008, his phone dialed his girlfriend. Her heart stopped. Alexis thought he was alive. She thought he was reaching out. The call rang 3 times, then disconnected. Cell towers traced the call to a town 14 miles away. Investigators scrambled, but the phone was never found. And experts say sometimes inactive phones do that when switching networks. But still, why that number? Why that moment? Why him? It remains unexplained and chilling. The missing key fact. Brian's apartment was untouched. Nothing missing. Passport still there. Credit cards unused. Medical ID untouched. Bank account silent. Social media unchanged. Phone silent. No movement. For 18 years. No digital footprint. No communication. No trace. It's as if Brian stepped out of time and into nothing. The theories that torment detectives. Theory 1. Left on purpose. Some believe he staged his disappearance. Started a new life. But investigators argue he had no money. No documents. No preparation. No history of planning escape. It doesn't add up. Theory 2. Suicide. Possibly driven by grief from his mother's death. But suicide leaves evidence. Bodies resurface. Brian did not. Theory 3. Abduction. But how do you abduct someone unseen? In a bar, full of people, full of cameras, and leave no physical trace. That theory frightens detectives most. Because if someone did abduct him, they found a perfect method. Theory 4. Hidden inside the bar. This is the darkest version. That Brian never left the building. That something happened inside. And someone covered it up. People whisper this theory quietly. Very quietly. Because if true, it means everything investigators searched 4 was pointed in the wrong direction. 18 years later, detectives still talk about this case with confusion. Some call it the one that still wakes me up. Others say, this case haunts me because it defies reality. Brian walked into a bar. He laughed. He drank. He smiled. And then, he vanished. Completely. Absolutely. Without a trace. And tonight, we are left with the only question that matters. What do you think happened? When a murder is solved, there is anger, grief, even outrage, but there is an answer. There is a truth, something concrete, something final. But when someone vanishes into silence, without explanation, without closure, without a trace, the human mind refuses to let go. Investigators often say, a murder ends, a disappearance never does. And that's the reality Asha, Maura, and Brian left behind. The impossible question. Detectives reopen these cases again and again, hoping that time will finally reveal what evidence did not. They keep files on their desks, photos on their walls, notes in their drawers. They replay every interview, every detail, every missed clue. These cases haunt them because there is no timeline, no closure, no body, no crime scene, only absence, only silence, only fear. They say, you can't stop thinking about someone who just disappeared. The families left behind, and the deepest pain belongs to those waiting. Families living in a constant loop of hope, doubt, grief, confusion. Never able to move on, never able to sleep without wondering, are they alive? Are they afraid? Are they suffering? Are they gone forever? A parent losing a child is devastating. A parent not knowing what happened to their child is unbearable. Why we remember them? We tell these stories, not to sensationalize tragedy, but to honor the lost, to keep their names alive, to keep their memories relevant, to keep pressure on the truth. Because the moment we stop talking about them is the moment the mystery wins. And the moment hope dies, the dark reality. For every person found, there are others who remain missing, lost in a void of unanswered questions. Their stories echo in the minds of detectives, and each case whispers the same haunting truth. Some mysteries do not fade with time. They grow stronger, more painful, more haunting. The silence becomes heavier with every passing year. Some stories end with justice. Some end with truth. Some end with peace. But the stories we've explored tonight did not end. They simply stopped. Abruptly, painfully, without warning, and without answers. A little girl walked into a storm and never returned. A college student drove into the mountains and vanished after a single crash. A young man entered a bar and disappeared into thin air. Their footsteps end suddenly, as if mid-sentence. Their voices cut off, as if someone pressed pause, forever. For their families, time does not heal this kind of wound. Time only deepens the question. Where are they? What happened? Why? These questions hang in the air, unchanged, unanswered. As investigators retire, and witnesses age, and evidence fades, the truth grows more fragile, just out of reach, close enough to feel, but not close enough to grasp, because every unresolved case is a ghost that lingers in the minds of detectives, in the hearts of the families, and in the collective memory of everyone who hears their story. There is no closure here. Only silence. Only questions. Only mystery. And yet the one thing more powerful than mystery is memory. Because memory keeps them alive. Memory holds on to their stories. Memory refuses to let them disappear completely. Asha Degree, Maura Murray, Brian Shaffer. 3 names, 3 lives, 3 mysteries that refuse to be forgotten. As we end tonight's journey, we leave you with the question investigators have been asking for decades. What do you think happened?